So let us continue the discussion on the topic deductions. We were discussing the topic of deductions under section 80 in the last lecture, and I showed you through the act from the website of the tax department that there are many deductions of section 80, but all are not in our course. We have some very limited, around 23, but those you have to do. So I have covered with you in the last class only one deduction under section 80C, which is one of the most relevant deduction available or allowed under the Income Tax Act, and almost every salaried employee claim this deduction of 80C. So that is very relevant, and there are high chances that if you get any question in any examination, you have some point on 80C. So 80C is over. If you have understood 80C, please raise your hands so that I can start with the next one. If 80C is clear, please raise your hands. What about others? They have not understood 80C or they are not here right now? So if you are here right now, please raise your hands. Those who are here right now, please raise your hands. Okay. So 80C is over from my side, and now let us start with another deduction, 80CCC. 80CCC is basically for pension funds, annuity plans, pension plans. Like if today I am saving, or today if I am contributing around 1 lakh rupees per year with any insurance company, and this insurance company has promised that if I pay 1 lakh to the insurance company till my retirement, then this insurance company says that after retirement or after attaining 60 years of age, they will start giving me 20,000 per month as pension. So these are pension plans, annuity plans, where annually you contribute. So presently you contribute to get something in future. This is insurance plan. So for this you get deduction under section 80CCC. Let me show you the act. Let me first show you the act. So let us read this act and let us refer section 80CCC, pension plans, pension funds. What annually I contribute is allowed to me as deduction under section 80C. But let me show you through act. The heading is deduction in respect of contribution to certain pension funds. So what the act says, you can read it yourself. Let me Show you the relevant one. 80CCC subsection 1, where an assessee being an individual has in the previous year paid or deposited, that means here also you have to actually pay or deposit any amount out of his income chargeable to tax. So whatever is my taxable income, from this amount if I deposit something or if I pay something, for what purpose? To effect or keep in force a contract for any annuity plan of Life Insurance Corporation of India or any other insurance for receiving pension from the funds. Now don't refer these sections, etc. That's it. That's it. So what you should learn in section 80CCC is that which I will write. So only remember this much point in 80CCC. I hope this screen is visible. So this is pension plans, pension funds. So we are continuing with deductions under section 80C to 80U. So this is my second deduction, 80CCC. Contribution towards pension funds. So the conditions are that assessee is an individual, second, he has paid oblique deposited, the amount towards pension funds of any insurance company. It can be LIC or it can be any other company, doesn't matter, during the previous year. So whatever I have deposited during the previous year in that plan of insurance company, which will give me pension in my later years of life, whatever annually I am depositing, it is nothing but my deduction under section 80CCC. But amount of deduction is amount paid or deposited or rupees 1,50,000, whichever is less. And don't forget this one point, in case you have opted for optional taxation scheme under section 115 BAC, then you cannot claim deduction under section 80CCC, as I have already told this to you earlier, that in case any assessee opts, assessee means individual or HUF, opts for optional taxation scheme under section 115 BAC, then deduction under section 80 are not allowed except 80CCD subsection 2. No other deduction is allowed. That's it. So let me assume a small illustration. So that illustration is, it's very simple, given on page 11.8. X, you simply listen, X age 30 years has taken an annuity plan of ABC Insurance Company Private Limited. So assessee is X. He has taken an annuity plan. Annuity plan means, annuity pension plan means at some particular age or till you achieve any particular age, as per the policy terms and condition, you pay annually to the insurance company. After attainment of that age, if you have paid the premium regularly, they will start giving you pension. That is annuity plan, that annually I have to contribute this much. This much depends upon terms and conditions of the policy. Annuity plan of ABC Insurance Company Limited. Under this plan, 1,20,000 will be contributed every year by X till he attains the age of 60 years. So he will contribute every year 1,20,000 till he attains the age of 60. And when he attains the age of 60, the company will start giving him 15,000 per month as pension till his death. Now, after 60 years of age, then he will not be asked to deposit 1,20,000 because now it will be his turn to receive pension. So company will start giving him 15,000 per month as pension. He contributed 1,20,000 on 7th July 2020. As per the terms and condition, he deposited 1,20,000 on 7th July 20, which is my previous year. 7th July 20 is previous year, 2021 it is my previous year. Towards this pension plan from this taxable income, in this case, now can you tell me how much is deduction under section 80 triple C in this case? I am assuming that X has not opted for optional taxation scheme of this section. So how much will be the deduction? Will there be any deduction or not? Will there be any deduction of section 80 triple C in this question or not? If yes, how much? And if no, why? Any answer? 1,20,000 or 1,50,000, whichever is less, is deduction. Because during my previous year, I have deposited how much? 120 in this pension plan. So I will claim 1,20,000 as my deduction under section 80 triple C. That's it. This is what section 80 triple C is. In case you have any problem, please ask me the doubt. Otherwise, raise your hand if you have understood 80 triple C. In case 80 triple C is clear, please raise your hands. Next deduction, 80CCD. Next, 80CCD. It is not technical, but little bit conceptual knowledge is required. 80CCD. It is my third deduction. 80CCD. Contribution towards new pension scheme. NPS. You must be having the idea a little bit about this NPS. If not, you can do Google. It is new pension scheme. Now this section is having three subsections which are relevant. 80CCD subsection 1, 1B and 2. What is this NPS? First of all, you must know it. With effect from 1st Jan 2004, anyone who is joining government job is covered by default under this NPS, because old pension scheme was abolished for the government employees who have joined the job with effect from 1st Jan 2004. Every government employee, irrespective of his status and category, is covered under this new pension scheme. And what is there is new pension scheme is, in old pension scheme there was a huge burden of pension on the government. When people were retiring from government job, after their retirement also they were getting a good amount, handsome amount as pension. which was resulting in heavy outflow of the government. So this discussion was going on for the past so many years, and ultimately in 2004, with effect from 1st Jan 2004, any employee who joins government job will not get that old pension. He or she will get new pension as per new pension scheme. What is this pension scheme? In this, government contributes and employee contributes. Everyone will contribute. So there will be one account, pension account. This account is of this employee. In this account, he himself will contribute as well as government will contribute. Entire amount in this account will go to a trust, which is NPS trust. This trust will invest this amount in share market. This will go in share market. They can invest in equity shares, in some securities, etc. So we have different sets of terms and conditions for this that I'm not discussing right now. I'm discussing broadly the structure of this NPS. Every employee is having his or her pension account that is known as PRAN. Okay, just like under income tax, we are allotted PAN number. Under PFRDA, if you are having pension account, you will be allotted PRAN, Permanent Retirement Account Number, PRAN. Everyone who is having NPS account or everyone who is covered under NPS must be having this PRAN. It is 16-digit number, 16 or 11. I have forgotten exactly the number of digit, but it is numerical digit number, PRAN number, Permanent Retirement Account Number. It's just like having my own identity number. That's it. So every month I deposit as well as the government deposit in case I am a government employee. The amount goes to the share market. And when I will retire, whatever is the accumulated balance in my NPS account, that will be given to me instead of pension. Government will not give me any pension now. No government employee who is joining government job on or after 1st Jan 2004 will get any pension. It is your contribution as well as government's contribution till you are in service. Amount had been invested in share market, and after retirement, you will get that amount as it is in cash or check, whatever is the way. So it is your choice. If you want to have pension, then you have to search yourself private insurance companies who are willing to offer pension in return of some accumulated amount. Just like in the earlier section 80CCC, I was giving every year so that I get pension after my retirement. Here also, if I want to claim pension, then I have to search for different insurance companies, and if I am satisfied on my personal level that this company gives me pension and giving me good pension by collecting this much amount as premium, then it is for me to decide whether I want to avail or not. But now government is under no obligation to offer me pension. So first of all, you must know the structure of this new pension scheme, that it is a scheme which has been made applicable in India on or after 1st Jan 2004, where you contribute as well as employer contribute. And employer is whom? Only the government. Initially only the government, but now, earlier it was started for government. Now anyone can ask or anyone can avail this NPS. That employer can be government or non-government. In case big corporates like Reliance, Tata's, these groups, if they also want to give new pension scheme to the employees, then government says we have no issue. You simply see the terms and conditions. If these are beneficial for you, if you think so, you can avail it. That's it. So now anyone can contribute as far as employer is concerned. Government or non-government doesn't matter. Further, initially it was only for salaried employees. Now, not only salaried employees. Suppose I am a businessman, So I'm neither a government employee nor a non-government employee. I'm own businessman. I have my own shop. Still I can avail NPS. So now it is not necessary that you are an employee. Even a self-employed person can open this account. So this NPS is available now even to self-employed people. So first of all, as far as employer is concerned, you can be government employer or non-government employer. Similarly, as far as the person in whose name this account number is created, account will be created, that person can be an employed person or self-employed person, doesn't matter. This is what a little bit discussion about NPS. If this discussion is clear, please raise your hands. Still, I have not told you any any concept related to taxation. I was simply giving you an idea that what is this NPS. In case you have understood the concept of this NPS, please raise your hands. That this is a pension. This is just like a pension scheme where you contribute as well as employer contribute. The money will go to the share market. And but if share market is at high position, you will get high amount. If the share market is at low position, you will get low amount. But there is nothing like pension. You get that amount which is in the share market. That's it. Now let me tell you the tax provisions. I'm not at all concerned about that what is this NPS, etc. I'm concerned mainly about tax provision. As I told you that employee contributes as well as employer contributes. Whatever employee contributes, logically, you simply tell me whatever employee contributes, do you think it is an income for the employee? Employer's contribution towards NPS, is it an income? Answer is no. I'm not earning anything. I'm saving from my own amount, own account. So employee's contribution towards NPS is not an income, but whatever employer contributes, that is an income. So that is included in salary, above gross salary, I can say. Whatever amount has been contributed by my employer, I will include it as my gross salary. If suppose 3 lakh has been given to me, I will simply add employer's contribution towards NPS 3 lakh rupees. That's it. But whatever employee contributes in his or her own NPS, I will not add it anywhere because it is not at all an income. Now deduction is also available because government wants to promote this new pension scheme. So they say that whatever employer has contributed, first you include it as above gross salary, and then we will give you deduction under section 80 CCD subsection 2. And how much will be that deduction? How much will be the amount of deduction? Amount of deduction is 10% of salary or amount contributed by the employer, whichever is less. Whichever is lower. This is the deduction. Like if I am receiving 1 crore rupees from the employer, I have to first add 1 crore rupees above gross salary. But deduction is having some ceiling, some limit. That 1 crore rupees, based on my example, or 10% of salary, whichever is less, is the maximum deduction. Government cannot restrict the amount which I can receive, but they can restrict the amount on which they will give the exemption of deduction. So how much is allowed as deduction under section 80 CCD subsection 2? 10% of salary or amount contributed by the employer, whichever is lower. In case the employer is central government, then this 10% becomes 14%. 14% of salary in case of central government employer, or in case of central government, that's it, you can write. In case you are working with a central government, then this 10% becomes 14% of salary. or amount contributed by central government, whichever is lower. Now, what employee has contributed? First of all, I don't include it as an income because it was my own money, no one has given me. I earned it and I deposited it. So employer's contribution is not included as income, but deduction is available. For employee contributed, there are two sections, 80CCD 1 and 80CCD 1B. In 1B, how much is the deduction? Maximum 50,000. Maximum 50,000 rupees is the deduction in respect of employee's contribution. If it is section 80CCD subsection 1B, it is maximum 50,000 rupees. In case of 80CCD 1, as I have told you that even self-employed people can also join, so I am making two categories. Are you an employed person or self-employed? Deduction depends upon this. In case of employed person, the maximum limit is 10% of salary or employees contribution, employees individuals contribution, whichever is lower. In case of employees contribution, deduction is maximum 10% of salary or employees contribution, whichever is lower. In case you are self-employed, then how much is deduction? 20% of, I will not use the word salary because I am not an employed person, so I will use 20% of gross total income or that individual. So I'm not using the word employees contribution, I'm using the word assessee's contribution, whichever is lower. Now I'm not discussing it further. I will discuss it with the help of numerical. Everywhere I'm using the word salary, so you must know that salary is same as that of leave encashment HRA, like basic plus DA forming part plus commission based on fixed percentage of turnover achieved by the employee. Now let me first discuss numerical, then I will take your doubts. Numerical will make the concept clear. So it might look a little bit technical right now, but let me discuss it with the help of numerical. Page 11.10. Or you take the screenshot of this. Let me show you that page. It's better that you take the screenshot.
Sir, it's still your PPT screen, which I'm seeing.
What? What are you
It's
saying?
it's still your PPT screen.
Yeah, because I have not shared that, no? I have not yet shared. I'm finding that page. Now take the screenshot of this question. And when you have taken the screenshot, please raise your hands. The moment you take the screenshot, please raise your hands. We will discuss this question. So I hope most of you have taken this screenshot, and then let me start solving it. First, let me read it. During the previous year, 2021, X gets 30,000 per month as basic salary and 10,000 per month as DNS allowance. 60% is considered for retirement benefits. So what do I mean by this? That out of 10,000 per month as DNS allowance, 60% forming part of salary. Employer contributes 45,000 towards new pension scheme. X, however, annually contributes 55,000. Employer was contributing 45, but X is contributing more. So there is no problem. I can contribute more. It's my choice. Income from other sources of X is 9,40,000. X deposits every year 90,000 in his own PPF account. Can you tell me what is the deduction for this PPF account balance which has been deposited? For 90,000, which deduction will be available to me?
80C.
80C, yes. X is also eligible for a deduction of 25,000 under 80CCC. So this, the question itself has told me that under 80CCC, I will get a deduction of 25,000. Compute the taxable income of X for the assessment year 21-22, assuming all the information is related to the previous year 2021, and X has not opted for optional taxation scheme under section 115 BAC. In case I have not opted for optional taxation scheme, then I can claim all the deductions of section 80 also. Now let us start solving it. So let us solve this numerical, page 11.10 from book. And example, this is an example on this page. Now we have to simply compute total income. Let us compute total income. You also try to see that what will happen. So whatever you have to write, you can write particulars rupees. During the previous year, X gets 30,000 per month as basic. So how much is basic salary? 3,60,000. DNS allowance 10,000 per month. 10,000 per month into 12 multiplied by 60%. How much D I will write here? 10,000 into 12 into how much percent? 60%. So that will be 72,000. Is it clear? Or is there any problem?
So there's a problem.
What problem?
So we shouldn't take only 60% for calculation of actual taxable income. We should only take 60% when we're considering deductions.
Deductions or exemptions? Yes. So I should not write here only 60%. I'm supposed to write here the income which is earned. So earning is 1,20,000. So I should remove it. My DA income is 1,20,000. This you should remember. employer's contribution. I told you employer's contribution is an income. First of all, I will add employer's contribution towards new pension scheme 45. Employees contribution 55. Employees contribution is not an income, so I will not add it. So I got gross salary. The gross salary comes out to be 525. In case my calculation is wrong, please check it. Less deductions under section 16, which is standard deduction 50,000. So this is my net salary, or you can say taxable salary. $475. Add income from other sources. How much is income from other source? 9,40,000. So gross total income is how much? 14,15,000. After this, let us start giving deductions. Less deductions under section 80. So we have 80C here, we have 80CCC here, we have 80CCD 1, we have here 80CCD 1B, and we have 80CCD 2. Can you tell me how much is 80C? How much is 80C?
So 90,000.
90. For own PPF, I will get 80C. 80CCC, it is 25,000. How much is 80CCD2? How much is 80CCD2? I told you that 80CCD2 is, in case you are a central government employee, then you get 14% of salary or amount contributed, whichever is less. But I'm not a central government, it is not mentioned in the question, so I'm not a central government employer. So my limit remains at 10%. So note. Calculation of amount of deduction under section 80CCD 2. It is 10% of salary. Now before this, let us compute salary. Salary for this purpose means basic plus DA forming part. So DA forming part is how much?
6,000.
60% of 1,20,000 plus commission based on fixed percentage, which is not given. So total salary becomes 3,16,000 plus 72 plus nil. So salary for this purpose becomes 4,32,000. Now how much is 80CCD2? 80CCD2 is equal to 10% of salary, which I have just computed, 432, or amount contributed by the employer, which is 45,000. This is the amount contributed by the employer, so it is 45,000, whichever is lower. So which is lower? 10% of 432 becomes 43,200, and this 45. So 43,200 or 45. So the lower amount is rupees 43,200. This I will write as deduction under 80CCD2. Any problem till this point? How I have got 43,200? Please ask me the doubt. Otherwise, raise your hands. In case calculation of employer's contribution, calculation of deduction in respect of employer's contribution towards new pension scheme, if it is clear, please raise your hands. Always compute as far as employer's contribution is concerned. In case the employer is central government, 14% of salary or amount contributed by the central government, whichever is lower. But in case of central government, by default, whatever is amount contributed will be equal to deduction, because central government will not contribute more than 14%. They cannot contribute more than 14%. So by default, in case of central government, or by default in case of government job, whatever is amount contributed by the employer will always be equal to deduction, because your contribution by the employer will never be more than what is legally allowed. So had it been the central government case, whatever is amount contributed or 14% of salary, whichever is less, would have been the deduction. This is a private company or the employee is non-government. So I assumed an hypothetical example where the employer has contributed more than what is as per the law. More you can contribute, there is no problem. Government has a limit. Government cannot contribute more than as per which is allowed legally. But private companies can contribute even more than 10%. They can contribute any amount. So whatever they have contributed, first to include it as employee's income, and then when it comes to deduction, then apply the provisions of the law, which is 10% of salary or amount contributed by the employer, whichever is less. So my deduction under 80 CCD subsection 2 becomes 43,200. If you have understood it carefully, please raise your hands again. If deduction under 80 CCD subsection 2 is clear, please raise your hands again. So most of you have understood this point. Now let me come to the calculation of deduction under section 80 CCD subsection 1 as well as subsection 1B, because both are for whose contribution? Employee's own contribution. So let me share this slide again. Or yes. Now let us discuss deduction of 80 CCD 1B and 1. Can anyone try? Logically, after reading the theoretical provision, can you try how I should compute it? I will of course tell you, but better if you try at least how you will contribute 80 CCD 1 or 1B. So this note will be calculation, or let me tell you calculation of deduction under section 80 CCD first 1B. Before that, let me tell you a new point. Before telling you this. The new point is cumulative deduction. Cumulative amount of deduction under section 80C plus 80 CCC plus 80 CCD1 can never exceed 1,50,000 per year. This is the point which you should remember carefully. What is the separate limit of 180C? Coincidentally, maximum 150. What is the separate limit of 80CCC? Coincidentally, maximum 150. What is the separate limit of 80 CCD? It depends whether you are employed or self-employed. I hope you are relating now my this explanation with your earlier slides. In 80 CCD1, what is separate limit in case you are an employed person? The maximum limit is 10% of salary or employee's contribution, whichever is less. Okay, this is employee's contribution in case you are an employee. In case you are self-employed, how much is the maximum limit? 20% of gross total income, or I will not use the word employee, I will use the word assessee's contribution, whichever is less. So first of all, these sections have their own limits. After having their own limits, these have to cumulatively pass an aggregate ceiling of 1,50,000 also. Is this slide clear? Is the concept clear? If yes, please raise your hand. Are these two concepts clear? Separate limit as well as cumulative limit. If yes, please raise your hands. Because this concept I will be applying in this question.
Sir, can you repeat the cumulative limit?
Cumulative limit is together or 80C, 80CCC cumulatively, or you can say aggregate amount of 80C, 80CCC, 80CCD1. Collectively, these three sections cannot exceed the amount of 1,50,000. 1,50,000 is the aggregate limit of all these three in combined form.
All right.
Now, how will I compute the deduction here? How will I compute now? Let us come to this question. How much is employees contribution? How much is employees contribution? 55,000. How much is 80CCD1B? Do you remember how much is 80CCD1B? Maximum 50,000. Maximum 50,000. So what I can do, that out of total employees contribution, which is 55, I can say that 50,000 maximum I will use for 80CCD1B, and remaining 5,000 I will use towards which section? 80CCD1. If I do so, if this is my thinking, then I will say that 80CCD1B will be 50,000 and 80CCD1 is how much? 5,000. But I need to check first whether this 5,000 is as per the rules or not. And what is the rule? That in case you are in job, then this 5,000 should be checked in what sense? 10% of salary. So 10% of rupees 4,32,000, as I have just computed earlier, or employees contribution. Here I will write 5,000, whichever is lower. So 43,200 or 5,000, whichever is lower. So coincidentally, my 5,000 is valid. It has passed the individual limit of 80CCD1. So I will write in 80CCD1 5,000 because it has passed the test of its own limit. Then cumulatively I will do the total of these three, 90 plus 25 plus 5. Cumulatively it comes out to be 1,20,000, and 1,20,000 does not exceed 1,50,000. So I will say that this is the deduction of 80C, 80CCC, 80CCD1. How I have computed this is, out of total assesses contribution, which is 55,000, I have allotted 50,000 towards 80CCD1B. Then I am left with 5,000. I can contribute in NPS as an employee, and I have two sections to avail the benefit, 80CCD1 and 80CCD1B. I know that in 80CCD1 I have to pass the test of cumulative ceiling also, but 80CCD1B is not covered under any cumulative limit. It has its own limit of 50,000. So why not it is better to first allot 50,000 towards 80CCD1B. Then whatever I am left, then I will say that it is my employee's contribution, which I can use for 80CCD1. But 80CCD1 has its own limit, which is what? 10% of salary, or this remaining contribution 5,000, whichever is less. So it has passed, this 5,000 has passed the test of individual ceiling also. So it will go to cumulative ceiling now. And when cumulatively I found that the aggregate does not exceed 1,50,000, I allowed 1,20,000 as deduction under section 80 CCD1. With this, I get my total income as how much? $1,201,800. That's it. This is what the question is. In case any issue, please unmute and ask. Otherwise, please raise your hand. If you have carefully understood deduction under section 80 CCD1, CCD1B and CCD2. In case the point is clear, please raise your hands.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, why doesn't the government club both the sections 80 CCD1 and 80 CCD1B?
फिर extras में 50, अच्छा, so that in this case you want to say that the cumulative ceiling then has to be made to 2 lakh rupees. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
If they club these two sections, then they have to increase the ceiling to 2 lakh. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Now, if they do, if they do so, then it is possible that people will not contribute additionally in new pension scheme. If you club these sections, why will I contribute in new pension scheme? I can take PPF more. I can invest in FDs. I can purchase life insurance. I can pay life insurance premium more. Intention of giving separately 80 CCD 1B was to make sure that people contribute towards NPS, not in other remaining 21 contributions of 80C. If you merge it, if you make it cumulative, then I have an option that I can go towards other investment schemes or deposit schemes.
Okay, sir.
Please raise your hand if this section 80 CCD is clear. In case you want to see any slide, I can show you again. If you want to ask me anything, I can tell you again. But in this question, I am not telling you a tax evasion issue. I am not telling you an issue which is in my mind. I think that the intention for which or the purpose for which government introduced 80 CCD 1B is not followed. This is what I believe. So in case you have my book, you can refer here, refer there. I have solved this question with another way also, which in my opinion is better from the point of view of the government. I think that following this approach which I have done, it is not illegal to follow this approach. It is being followed. But in my view, government needs to make some amendment in this section, because the real purpose of the government is not yet achieved with this way of calculation, though it is legal, not illegal. So in case you have my book, you can refer the detailed discussion which I have given, that why the government is losing huge tax revenue because of this 80 CCD 1 and 1B. You need some practice to understand it. So right now, I will not tell you in detail what that tax evasion is. You need to be a little bit more serious about reading the provisions of Income Tax Act. Then you can discuss with me, or I will discuss with you later on, that why I think that there are some tax evasion, serious tax evasion going on under this provision. Anyhow, for your level, but I have told you sufficient. I am proceeding now to the next point. 80D, it is next deduction. 80D, medical insurance premium. So let me discuss with you now 80D. 80D is another deduction. It is basically for medical insurance. So again, it has some conditions. Assessee is an individual or HUF. He has paid the premium by check. He has paid or incurred the expenditure by check, not cash. If it is paid in cash, it is not allowed. You must pay the premium by check. However, in one case you can pay by cash also. In case of preventive health checkup, if it is related to medical, this you must know first. It is medical insurance. Insurance word is not correct here, but for the timing I am using the word insurance. I will tell you what changes have been done. You must be an individual or HUF to claim this deduction. You must have paid the medical insurance premium by check. In case you have paid medical insurance premium by cash, you cannot claim 80D. However, in case of preventive health checkup, can you tell me preventive health checkup is what? Any idea? So many times you must be seeing the ad. You must have seen the advertisements of these diagnostic labs. Dr. Lal Path Labs, SRL Diagnostic, CRL Diagnostic, there are big diagnostic labs. They come with this insurance, this preventive health checkup, that full body checkup, 3,000 rupees only, etc. etc. These are preventive health checkup where doctor has not recommended any test or any investigation for you, but you want to yourself go for all the checkups so that you get an idea in case anything is not as per the safe limits, then timely action can be taken. That is why it is known as preventive health checkup. That without any recommendation specifically, where you want to get yourself completely checked. So there are some plans available for the patients by these diagnostic labs. In case of preventive health checkup, even if you have paid by cash, then it is eligible. Medical insurance premium, if you have paid by cash, you cannot claim 80D, but preventive health checkup payment by cash is allowed. Now, how much is allowed? That is the issue now. If these two conditions are satisfied, either you are an individual or HUF, you have paid or incurred the expenditure by check. In case of preventive health checkup, even by cash, that is allowed. How much is allowed? For this, I need to prepare a table. So, period, amount of deduction. How do you compute amount of deduction? Now, for HUF, we have separate provisions for individuals. Now, within individuals, there are two subcategories. Individuals include assessee himself, spouse, and children. This is one separate subcategory, and then parents of the assessee, whether dependent or not. So within individuals, two subcategories: assessee spouse and children having separate rules, parents having separate rule. Now, what type of expenditures are covered? This is what you must know. In 80D, what type of special expenditures are covered? First expenditure which is covered is medical insurance premium. Medical insurance premium which is covered is first expenditure. I'm denoting it by small a. So medical insurance premium, if paid on these people's health, it is valid expenditure. If paid on parents' health, it is valid expenditure, no problem. If paid in HUF, I am not discussing. I am giving HUF for self-study from any book or material which you are referring or from the Act. It is for self-study. Because there are some points which I want to give to you for your self-study so that you learn the idea or you get an idea how the provisions are to be read. So medical insurance premium is covered. Then whatever you contribute towards CGHS, if your parents are in central government job or if your parents are in government job, you ask from your parents that what is this CGHS, or if or don't ask what is this CGHS, you simply ask from them that show us your CGHS card. So they must be having this CGHS card with them. Contribution towards central government health scheme. Central government health scheme. Yearly they have to pay some amount to get the benefit of this CGHS, central government health scheme. So it's nothing, it's also like an insurance where they pay something and they get a card. On the basis of that card, they can avail the medical treatment at less rates in hospitals. So it's like medical insurance. It's not exactly medical insurance, it is like medical insurance. So this expenditure is also allowed under 80D. But it is not allowed for these people. Within individuals, it is allowed for assessee, spouse and children, but it is not allowed for parents. For parents, if you are paying something towards CGHS scheme, then 80D doesn't give you any benefit. Income Tax Act doesn't give you any benefit for the purpose of 80D if in case you are paying the premium for CGHS scheme for your parents. You might get medical treatment as less rates. That Income Tax Department is not at all concerned, but they will not give you any benefit under 80D. Then might be central government brings out any scheme. So I'm writing here contribution towards notified scheme. Any notified means central government will might bring some scheme. Contribution towards any notified scheme. I'm writing here small c. If to avail that notified scheme, notified means which is notified as per the provisions of the law by the government. That is why we say notification. If you pay something for yourself, for your spouse or for your children, then that expenditure is also allowed under 80D, eligible, but not for parents. And then fourth is payment towards preventive health checkup. It is also allowed for assessee, spouse and children as well as for parents. So total is 25,000 rupees. This is the maximum deduction. Maximum deduction of all these four expenditure is 25,000 maximum. For assessee, spouse as well as for children 25. and separately for parents 25. So I can say on collective basis or on aggregate basis for all these 4 points, all these 4 types of expenditure. For assessed spouse and children, I can claim ATD of maximum 25, and for parents, I can claim for maximum 25. This is one thing. However, there is a change, or not change, there is a separate point. On preventive health checkup, on this preventive health checkup, on this preventive health checkup, the maximum amount of deduction under section 80D for all these people, assessee, spouse, children, and parents, cannot exceed 5,000 rupees. This is what you should not forget. I am saying here collectively 25,000, but within this 25,000, D is having its own restriction, only 5,000 for total, for assessee, spouse and children, as well as for parents. For collectively this entire family, maximum 5,000. And if I say children, write here the word dependent children. Here also these children are dependent, not independent. Parents can be dependent or not, but children must be dependent. I will explain it clearly with the help of numerical example. Now these 4 are covered under 80D. One more expenditure is covered under 80D. It is actual medical expenditure. Don't write it. I'm leaving some lines blank. So let me use the exact language so that you don't get confused. It is medical expenditure incurred. I'm leaving 5, you should leave 5 or 6 lines blank in case you are noting something, because it is little bit technical. Medical expenditure incurred on the health of a resident senior citizen on whose health medical insurance is not taken. This is my 5th expenditure. Now do remember that initially I was telling you that 80D is for insurance only, not actual expenditure. Suppose Mr. X has fallen ill and the total expenditure is 10 lakh rupees. Then whatever expenditure of 10 lakh has been incurred, for this there is no benefit. But if I have taken an insurance policy and the premium paid is only 20,000 rupees, this 20,000 is eligible. In 80D, initially it was only for insurance premiums, not for actual medical expenses. But later on, one more benefit has been covered here, and that benefit is, in case even if you incur medical actual expenditure on the health of a person who is a resident senior citizen and on whose health you have not taken the insurance policy, then also this expenditure is allowed as valid expenditure for the purpose of 80D. So if you see the act will use the word insurance premium. Initially it was for insurance premium only. Gradually it was extended to CGHS, then to notified scheme, then to preventive health checkup, and now it has been extended even to actual expenditure. But in this, there is a limit, or not limit, there is a condition, and the condition is what? That expenditure should be on the health of a resident senior citizen. Further, on this person's health, you have not taken what? Insurance. If these two conditions are satisfied, then also this actual expenditure can be allowed as deduction under 80D. And this expenditures, E, expenditure denoted by E, is having its own limit, 50,000 rupees. So maximum deduction of point E. I cannot write here. You note there. Maximum deduction, I am denoting maximum deduction by B, capital B, is 50,000 rupees for SIC, spouse and children, and for parents separately 50,000. Is point little bit clear that I have told you 5 expenses of 80D. Out of 5, first is this one is special expenditure for which separate maximum limit is 50,000, and remaining 4 are those where separate limit is only 25,000. Out of those 4, one is that where the separate limit is only 5,000. If you have understood this much structure, please raise your hands. Read it carefully, and if you have understood this much structure, please raise your hands. Then I'll discuss one more technical point. Okay, now one more technical point for which I have left some lines blank, and that technical point is, as far as point A is concerned, out of above 4, only for medical insurance premium, as far as point A is concerned, in case the medical insurance is taken, it is little bit technical, little bit. In case medical insurance is taken for a resident senior citizen, see, this capital A you write it as 1, numerical 1, rather this capital A you denote it by 1. As far as point A is concerned, which point? This point. As far as this point is concerned, in case the medical insurance is taken for a resident senior citizen, the additional deduction allowed, additional, now you do not by numerical 2, additional means above than this 25 or 25, additional deduction allowed is 25. First 4 expenditures maximum 25. Out of first 4, fourth expenditure maximum 5. Out of these first 4, first expenditure if taken, if paid, if incurred for a resident senior citizen, then additional 25. So now I can say maximum deduction of 0.1 plus 0.2 collectively denoted by capital A cannot exceed in any case 50,000. Maximum, and total deduction under 80D by merging capital A plus capital B for assessee, spouse and children and for parents cannot exceed 50,000. Sorry, yeah, 50 maximum. Now individually, heading capital A has a limit of 50, individually capital B has a limit of 50, but cumulatively also, in any case, for assessee, spouse and dependent children, A as well as B, to the total maximum 50. For parents, whether dependent or not, A and B, maximum 50. In any case, my total 80D can never exceed 1 lakh rupees. This is the maximum limit of 80D. Whatever you follow any permutation combination, maximum 80D will be 1 lakh rupees. It is little bit technical, but I hope a little bit you have understood. If yes, please raise your hands, because I will discuss in numerical now. If little bit you have understood, please raise your hands. It is technical. So let me discuss very good numerical, and it is better that you take this screenshot. Take the screenshot of this. If you have taken this screenshot, please raise your hand. Or the moment you take the screenshot, please raise your hand. Hurry up. If you have this example, please raise your hands. Okay, let me start reading this example for you. X, you also try to tell me the answer which I will ask. X, age 48 years, paid medical insurance premium of rupees 20,000 during the previous year 2021 to ensure his health as well as the health of his spouse. Can you tell me it is which expenditure? Small a, B, C, D or E? Which one? Out of these 5, it is which expenditure?
Small a.
Small a. How much is allowed as deduction? Can you tell me? For this point, 20,000. It is allowed as expenditure. It is allowed as deduction because total A, B, C, D cannot exceed 25. So 20 is well within the limit of 25. It is allowed. He also paid medical insurance premium of 47,000 during the year to ensure the health of his mother. It is also expenditure number A, small a, because it is also medical insurance. But now the family is parents, mother, who is not dependent. I am not concerned as far as parents are concerned. Dependent, independent does not matter. Can you tell me how much will be the deduction of this 47,000?
So 25,000.
25,000. How you can say 25? If his mother is a resident senior citizen, will it be 25 then?
Yes, sir.
No. If the medical insurance premium, I have told you point E, small e, as far as expenditure given in point A is concerned, that means as far as medical insurance premium is concerned, in case it is taken for a resident senior citizen, then additional deduction allowed is extra 25,000. So for 27,000, I can say 25, but additional 25 is also allowed. That means I can go till 50,000 and the premium paid is only 47. So how much will be the deduction of this 47,000? 47,000 rupees. Point clear or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. He contributed 3,600 to the central government health scheme during the year. Okay. Is 3,600 allowed?
Only if it's incurred on assessee, spouse, or their children.
Yeah,
Dependent
if nothing is mentioned, that I will assume that it is for assessee, spouse and children. So it is allowed. He has incurred 3,000 in cash on preventive health checkup of himself and his spouse, but in cash. Is in cash preventive health expenditure valid? Answer is yes.
Yes.
And incurred 4,000 on preventive health checkup of his mother, but this 4,000 is paid through check. Doesn't matter. Even if you would have paid 4,000 through cash, it would have been allowed. No problem. His mother is a resident senior citizen. Compute the deduction allowable to X under section 80D for the assessment year 21-22, assuming all information is related to the previous year 2021. X has not opted for optional taxation scheme under section 115 BSE. Let us solve this question now. From book, page 11.12, example. Whenever you have to solve 80D, prepare that table, or you must be having clear picture of that table in your mind. So assessee, spouse and dependent children. Here parents, whether dependent or not, does not matter. Assessee's age is 48. Now expenditure A is medical insurance premium for assessee and spouse, 20,000, so that is valid. First, this expenditure is allowed. If allowed, then 20,000 is within 25,000 limit. For his mother, he paid 47,000. First, expenditure insurance premium or expenditure of insurance premium for parents allowed. If allowed, maximum is 25. But if you remember point E, if the expenditure of this premium is incurred for a resident senior citizen and his mother is a resident senior citizen, then extra 25 is allowed. So out of 47, first 25 is allowed without any limit, then remaining balance is 20. And since extra 25 is also allowed, for such people, then I will say that additional 22 is also valid. There is no problem. I hope this point is clear. He contributed 3,600 to the central government health scheme. If nothing is mentioned, I will assume that it is for assessee's own. So towards central government health scheme, it is B expenditure. Is it allowed for assessee? Yes. Total limit I know cannot exceed 25 for A, B, C and D. For parents, it is not good. He has incurred 3,000 in cash in preventive health checkup of himself and 4,000 for mother. So total is 7,000, but is 7,000 allowed? In preventive health checkup, is total 7,000 allowed or not?
No, sir. So maximum 5,000 is allowed collectively.
Yes. So out of total 7,000, maximum 5 is allowed. Now where I should divide it? For parents or for assessee, that is my choice. I know that the cumulative ceiling, I know that maximum deduction of A, B, C, D, E. Sorry, A, B, C, D, E. Yes, maximum deduction of A, B, C, D, E cannot exceed 50. And for parents already this 47 is there. So maximum I should allot 3000 here. So it will get 50. And out of 5000 preventive health checkup, if 3000 I have allotted here, 2000 I should allot here. This total becomes 25,600, but at least I can claim 25 maximum. That's it. This is what the question is. It might look a little bit technical. The moment you read it, then you will get the answer. In case this point is clear, you please raise your hands. Otherwise, ask me the doubts. Little bit technical, but interesting also. Because when you learn difficult things, then it increases the confidence. If you learn the things which are difficult, then it gives you a good feeling that yes, you know something which is not easy for others to learn. So it gives you a little bit confidence that your hard work has given you some knowledge. Please raise your hand if this question is clear. Then I will discuss another question with you. So let me give you that technical question. Not technical, but let me see whether you can solve or not. Those who are having my book, please don't see the answer of that example which I will give you. Otherwise, you don't learn anything. So if I am giving you one question for you to solve, please solve it yourself. Don't refer the book. Now solve this question by preparing the table like which I have prepared. This is the example given on page 11.13. Don't see the solution and please solve it. If you have taken the screenshot of this new example, please raise your hands. Those who have taken the screenshot of this new example, please raise your hands. Okay, now please try to solve it. Let me read this question for you. Why 35 years paid 35 years paid medical insurance premium of 24,000 during the previous year 2021 to ensure his health as well as the health of his spouse and dependent children. He also paid medical insurance premium of 38,000 during the year to ensure the health of his mother who is not dependent on him. He incurred actual medical expenditure of 20,000 on his father, 68 years, who is not covered under medical policy. His father is also not dependent upon him. He contributed 5,000 towards CGHS, covering himself, spouse, and dependent children. During the year, compute the deduction under 80D. Now try to tell me the answer of this example. Don't see the numerical or solution from the book. I will wait for you to solve this numerical. Always prepare the table. Two categories: assesses spouse and dependent children and parents. Then think those 5 expenditures A, B, C, D, E, and then separately one, which is actual medical. So total there are 5 expenditures. Last one is medical and remaining 4: Mediclaim, CGHS, notified scheme, and preventive health checkup. These are remaining 4. Out of these 4, if medical insurance is premium is given for resident senior citizen, then additional 25. So that is denoted by E. Anyone who got the answer?
Sir, is it 68?
68 is not the correct answer.
So 75,000.
Yeah, 75 is the correct answer. Everyone please try to check 75. I have shown the solution also. In case you have understood, please raise your hand that how 75,000 has come. In case those who have understood this calculation 75,000, please raise your hands. In case you can ask me. In case you have not understood, you please ask me without. Sorry. Is the solution visible which I have done? You have not told me. I was writing something, but still you haven't told me. See, this is the solution. You should have told me, since if you can see that I am writing something but the screen is not visible, you should inform me. I thought that I was showing you this screen. Mediclaim 24, then 25 maximum, but additional for senior citizen 25 extra. So 13 I have written separately. CGHS 5 total is 2938, but maximum 25 and 50 because one person is senior citizen in parents category. Actual medical expenditure 20, but total I know that maximum it can be 50-50 in both the categories. Please see the solution. In case you have any issue, please ask me below.
Sir, I just wanted to ask, the question does not mention whether the father is resident or not.
Father, okay, you assume, I will make an amendment that his mother and father, yeah, question will mention it in the examination. His mother and father are resident senior citizens. Okay, this change you make.
Okay.
His mother and father are resident senior citizens. With this, there will be no issue. Yes, that is a good point. It is better that father's residential status is also given. Otherwise, I can assume anything. Now, those who have understood it, please raise your hand. Please see the solution. If you have understood it, please raise your hand. Okay, most of you have understood. Next deduction, 80 double D. So let me discuss with you next deduction, 80 double D. $80 double D is also for medical, but not mediclaim. It is for medical, and it is not for assessing himself or herself. It is for maintenance of a dependent disabled relative. The act still uses the word disabled. Otherwise, we should use the word differently abled people. But whatever is the act language that I am using. Maintenance of a dependent disabled relative. Every person who is differently abled, these people might require a little bit more expenditure for special treatments. Now, this deduction helps in promotion of brotherhood. Now, who are relative? First of all, you must know. If assessee is Mr. X, who can be relatives, spouse, children. For the purpose of this section, relative includes spouse also. Otherwise, don't think in your mind that how can children be relative? Children are part of family. Yeah, they are part of family, but for the purpose of this section, these children are other than the assessee. Spouse is different from the assessee. So these are covered in this definition of relative: spouse, children, parents, brothers, and sisters of the individual. So conditions are resident individual and HUF. That who is the person? Resident individual or resident HUF? Who has during the previous year, this person has during the previous year, PY means previous year, expenditure incurred for maintenance of dependent having some issues, health issues, these people. Mr. X has incurred some expenditure to maintain any of these people. The expenditure can be 100 rupees only, doesn't matter. Expense has been incurred for maintenance of dependent disabled relatives, or if not actual expenditure incurred, if not actual expenditure but amount deposited. The exact language, amount deposited towards, the language is scheme, amount deposited towards a specified scheme approved by CBDT, and framed by an insurance company. To maintain a differently abled person, there are chances that extra expenditure is required for extra care, special care. So every assessee who is fulfilling his or her responsibility to maintain these people who are his or her close family members, spouse, children, parents, brothers and sisters, department also extends the government also extends the benefit to this person. Since this person is incurring extra expenditure to take care of these people, department says that we will collect less tax from you. How they will collect less tax? Tax slab they cannot change, so they have extended this deduction. So this deduction helps in reducing the taxable income of Mr. X, and he will be having more disposable income in his or her hand to take care of these people. So as I told you that every deduction fulfills some purpose. So through these deductions, balance amongst different individuals is maintained. This Mr. X, who is fulfilling his responsibility to take care of these people who are his close family members and who require high expenditure as compared to a normal person, government also is giving the benefit to this person by granting him deduction under section 80D. They say if you incur any expenditure, this expenditure can be what? It can be medical expenditure, it can be special care expenditure, it can be nursing expenditure. It doesn't mean it is only directly medical, it can be medical, special care, nursing, rehabilitation. In case something happens, like paralysis problem happens with any family member, paralysis. Now, in case someone is suffering from paralysis, then extra care is required. We have rehabilitation centers where physiotherapists spend 3 to 4 months to take care of that person who is suffering from any paralysis problem, and they, through this physiotherapy, that person who is having this paralysis problem can walk for some steps, can cover some steps. So that is rehabilitation expenditure. That is also eligible. So every expenditure doesn't need to be medical only. It can be medical, special care, nursing, rehabilitation, etc. Or it might not be an expenditure, but let's say there is a special scheme which is approved by CBDT and insurance company has floated that scheme. So you can deposit the amount also as an individual. If this is the situation, then government gives to this person deduction. And how much is the amount? Then amount is flat 75,000. Even if someone is spending only 100 rupees, still that person can claim flat 75,000. Or 1,25,000 in case of severe disability. Severe disability, where disability is more than 80%. Then it is 125, and it is irrespective of actual expenditure. Under this section, amount is fixed irrespective of actual expenditure. Irrespective of actual expenditure. That's it. So I don't think there is any special numerical to be discussed here. That's it. If you have understood it, please raise your hands. And do remember that in case you have opted for optional taxation scheme, you don't get any deduction. As I have told it in the starting itself, deduction under section 80C to 80U are not available in case you have opted for optional taxation scheme, except one, 80CCD subsection 2 will still be available even if you have opted for optional taxation scheme. Next section, and after this we will wind up
Sir,
today's discussion. Yes.
before you move to the next section, irrespective of actual expenditure, so does that mean that even if 50,000 has been spent, 75 or 125,000 will be available for deduction?
Yeah. Even if 50 lakh has been spent.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Now, next point. 80DD-B. It is also little bit related to medical, 80DD-B. But now it is for medical expense on specified disease. I'm using the word disease separately. Medical expense on specified disease. Given in Rule 11 DD. In 80D, you have medical insurance, CGHS, notified scheme, preventive health checkup, and actual medical expenditure also. But that actual medical expenditure can be for any disease. In 80DD, it can be medical expenditure, but only for dependent disabled relative, not for assessee himself, not for that relative who is not dependent on assessee. In 80DD, assessee is incurring actual medical expenditure, but only on those diseases which are written in Rule 11DD. Sorry, Rule 11DD. Section is 80DD. How much is the amount of deduction? Or first of all, conditions. Resident individual or HUF. Or resident HUF. B. Actual medical expenditure has been incurred on specify diseases, these are also chronic diseases, given in rule 11DD. And how much is the amount of deduction? Rupees 40,000 flat. This 40,000 becomes 1 lakh in case the expenditure has been incurred for resident senior citizen. Resident senior citizen. Compare this flat limit with actual medical expense and take whichever is lower. Lower expense. Now, who are the people covered? Here, assessee himself is covered. Assessee, spouse, children, parents, brothers, sisters, and these are or must be dependent. Yes, that's it. This is 80DD. In case as an assessee, any person has incurred any medical expenditure on those diseases which are mentioned in rule 11DD. Now, if you remember salary chapter, there was a perquisite of medical facility. There were all the diseases were also covered in medical facilities, but there the rule was rule 3A sub rule 2. Now for 80DD, the diseases which are mentioned in rule 11DD, those will be taken. So you can be, anyone can be resident individual or resident HUF. Medical actual expenditure has been incurred for assessee's own health, or for dependent spouse, dependent children, dependent parents, dependent brothers, and dependent sisters' health. Whatever expenditure over 40,000. In case the person on whose health the expenditure has been incurred, that person is a resident senior citizen, then 1 lakh or actual expenditure, whichever is lower, is allowed as deduction. That's it. If you have understood it, please raise your hands.
Sir, what exactly do they mean by dependent spouse?
Dependent means like if I'm in government job, then I'm showing my spouse as dependent on me for the purpose of availing medical benefits, etc. So dependent depends upon case to case basis. In real life, if the spouse is working somewhere and having salary, then you cannot say that spouse is dependent on me. So it depends on facts and circumstances of the case when you can say that exactly whether that lady, or in case the spouse is the assessee, whether that husband is actually dependent or not. If the spouse is also filing return of income, then you cannot defend that the spouse is dependent. The law says that spouse is independent.
Alright, sir.
So this 40,000 or 1 lakh, is it the collective limit or is it like specifically for each
No.
relative?
No. In all the deductions, the limit is always collective. You cannot be having limit for each and every person, because I am discussing the deduction of an assessee. So assessee is one. Within that assessee, there may be different people who are covered. So I'm talking about the deduction of an individual. So these are collective limits for that human being who is the assessee.
All right, sir. Thank you.
So that's all. So let us wind up this session today. I think it has become a little bit technical. You need to practice. And if you have not covered salary, wind up salary by tomorrow. Wind up salary by tomorrow, and by Wednesday, by this Wednesday, you must have completed 3 chapters: introduction, residential status, and salary. By Wednesday, you must be having this target. By this Wednesday, you must be having this target, that your introduction is completed. By you, your residential status is over and salary is over. Deduction, of course, it is going on simultaneously. So goodbye.